music to the noise, yeah, the mess we make. Machine Pun Kelly get caught in the fray. Facts and logic with a twist of jest. Strip it down to truth, yeah, forget the rest. Humor pulls the lies right out of the park. Look beyond the shadows, dissect the dark. Sparks of laughter fire up the night, bringing clarity where they blur the fight. Cut through the chaos, yeah, the tangled lies. Machine Pun Kelly with the center clear eyes. Truths and jokes gonna rock this show. Step into light where the real facts glow.
Hello and welcome to the Pun Show. This is a sort of an emergency weekend stream. I don't normally stream on the weekends, but considering Donald Trump decided to start a war last night, I thought maybe it would be important to do something like this. So I just wanted to come on and talk a little bit about this. I don't know how long I'll be on. It won't be a long show, but I did want to at least cover some things. Like right now, the press conference is still going on, and Donald Trump does not sound well. He seems to be slurring a lot of his words and forgetting a lot of words. And wenches, if you're an 80-year-old man that's sundowning, it's understandable. But if you just started a war, I'd prefer to have somebody cogent and, able to actually speak the words up there. He hasn't really said anything consequential other than letting us know what he already knew, that he invaded Venezuela last night and kidnapped Maduro and his wife, and now they're being brought here for like a trial. I want to start just by saying let's not get caught up in whether Maduro was good or bad. Maduro is not a good person. He probably shouldn't be president. He's probably illegally president. But it is not our job as a different country to sit around and arbitrarily decide which presidents are valid and which presidents are not, and then to unilaterally just go in and arrest them and kidnap them. That is not a domestic thing that we have the right to do. It's not an international thing that we have a right to do. And yes, I know that there are some people that are Trump supporters that like to say that we're not subject to international law, which is a really weird thing to say. But yes, we are subject to international law. We are still part of the world. Even if you want to say America first, there's no such thing as America only. The rest of the world still exists. And we don't get to tell it how to behave, even if you're Donald Trump. So I looked into a few things. One, as I looked into the legal justification for this, what is Trump and his administration, what are they actually saying is the legal justification for this? And also, what are the actual motivations behind it? And so I put together a little dashboard. I think it'll probably take about an hour to go through. I have, for those of you who frequent this show, you might know my buddy Resistance Kitty. She is actually offered to help me out today and kind of help monitor the comments, because sometimes they can get kind of crazy. Right now, there's not much going on in the comment section. But if it gets out of hand, she's going to help me sort of filter through them and highlight the better ones and keep the conversation going. So somebody says minding our own business includes not overthrowing governments for resources. We should mind our business. Israel on its own, Venezuela on its own, Mexico on its own, Ukraine on its own. Correct. And I'm not like, I'm old enough to remember when, you know, like the Trump supporters were all about no new wars until he starts one. And now they're talking about Maduro. And I agree, Maduro is a bad person. I agree, Maduro should not be president. Joe Biden agreed Maduro should not be in power. It's not like this is a novel position. But when you start deciding which presidents are allowed to be in power, that's imperialistic overreach. So, you know, like, I think, yeah, Ukraine is maybe a bit different, but even if you're a Trump supporter, that at least, you know, I'll give Robert, he's consistent. Like, he's consistent. I think that I've seen some Trump supporters that are inconsistent, that will be like, they were fine with yelling about getting involved in Israel and Gaza, or fine with yelling about getting involved with Russia and Ukraine, but somehow now that we're invading, you know, like, we weren't even at war with Ukraine or Gaza, but when it comes to actually invading another country, they're cool with it. Why is Ukraine different? Because Ukraine got invaded. Ukraine didn't do anything. I think that we're standing with people that have like rights as nations to just exist. And so Ukraine has a right as a sovereign nation to not be invaded by Russia. And that's why it's different. Obviously, when we're invading Venezuela, that is the exact opposite. I want to be honest, I'm not really a Trump supporter, certainly not a fan of either side, but none of the orange guys meet writers. Okay. All right. Thank you for that clarification. Apologize for making an assumption. You missed the genocide that started in... Yeah, I'm not going to get into Russian propaganda and stuff. We're not talking about that right now. We're talking about Venezuela. So let's focus on Venezuela. I'm gonna share with you my screen, and I have a rush dashboard I put together, but I think it'll be okay. And there is a link to this dashboard in the descriptions for both, like, for all the accounts, so that, because some people are like sometimes saying, oh, well, where's your citations and stuff? So at the bottom, I think there should be some citations. Oh, whoops, it didn't. Yeah, there's sources that are listed down here. Okay, so let's talk about the Venezuela invasion. First of all, if you look at its legal defense, its claimed authority is Article 2 of the Constitution, allows the president to protect U.S. personnel executing an arrest warrant against Maduro, indicted in 2020 on narco-terrorism charges. There's some critical legal problems with this. Is one, he is actually the president of Venezuela, and they've used, you know, like, whether he's illegally the president or whatever, he is recognized by the international community as the current head of state there, or at least he was. And which is why countries like China and Russia are protesting. Like, you've got to understand, right now, Putin has the moral high ground with us. He's complaining about what we're doing, and Putin is actually right. Although I have to admit, there's a certain irony about Putin complaining about us invading another country. Obviously, he's being a bit hypocritical there. But when it comes to, he's criticizing us, and he's right. We don't have the legal right to do what we're doing. But they're comparing this to Bush invading Panama back in 1989. There's some subtle differences there. Like, Panama actually declared war on the U.S. before we invaded. So they had declared war on us. We didn't need to declare on war on them. They had declared war on us. They killed a U.S. Marine at a roadblock. They had they detained American citizens and abused them. There was the real reason, which was the Panama Canal, that we had treaty obligations with them. And they, like that was ostensibly, like that was a huge thing about the Panama Canal. U.S. never recognized Noriega as a legitimate president, and there was a full-on invasion with 27,000 troops over weeks. The main differences here are, one, Venezuela never declared war on us. So that right there is a huge difference between whether or not we can invade them and say we're at war with them. If they declare war, we didn't declare war on Japan when they bombed us in Pearl Harbor. We didn't declare war on Germany. We declared war on Japan after they bombed us, and then Germany declared war on us. Like actually having war declared on you is a big difference. Venezuela never declared war on us. They didn't kill any U.S. service members. There was no detention of Americans. There are no treaty obligations. Maduro has been internationally recognized since 2013. He stole the election in 2024 by most accounts, but he was president long before that. And we've got other examples of presidents who have been in power, and a lot of it by suspect election means, including Donald Trump's best buddy, Vladimir Putin. So we can't just decide, we retroactively are going to not recognize you as a president and come and kidnap you. So it's not about Maduro, it's about us and whether or not we have the legal right to just decide somebody is no longer president and then go invade. Putin has more than that. He has, yes. We're going to get to all the oil stuff in a bit, because I think that is definitely, it isn't hard to tell a moron that doesn't support Trump from a moron that doesn't support Trump. Okay, but this has nothing to do with whether I'm a moron or not. It has everything to do with whether or not we had a legal basis to invade Venezuela or not. I don't know what you think this is accomplishing. Quick question, who cares? No one is going to change anyone's mind. Well, I care. I don't think that hopefully we can change people's minds. What's the point of having conversations if you're never going to be able to change anyone's mind? Why even listen to anybody? Why talk to anybody? The learning is part of our society. That's how we grow as people. Press her over. So did anything consequential happen, Kitty? I gotta ask, do you plan any spin-off session to refresh memories of CIA 40 Committee Latin America? Just refresher for me. I actually went through, I need to finish it. I went through quite a bit of Latin American history and how the U.S. has been involved in overthrowing country after country in South America for the last 100, I think since 1905. I started around 1905, but all the way from Nicaragua, Guatemala, Honduras, actually getting the Panama Canal, all of that stuff. I went through a whole bunch, the 80s with the Iran Contra thing. We have, I think this would be number 46 times we've overthrown a government in Latin America since 1905. And then we wonder why they're not stable. We say, oh, well, it's an unstable region. And then we wonder why people are coming over here to seek asylum. Well, maybe if we stopped overthrowing them every 2 or 3 years. But yeah, if you look back, you can, I got distracted by something, and it was so involved that it was taking 3 days, and I still have a day left to that. So maybe I'll try and finish that up this week. Also, we will be running the country with boots on the ground moving forward. So I guess yeah, that's and he's and the new president is what was the words he used? Something like I can't remember, like to be determined was the essence of it. Let me see what's the exact words. Various people are going to be running Venezuela. Some of them were behind him. Like we know some of them were behind him, some of the various people. And it's just good that they really put thought into what was going to happen after they finished this. Like after it was over, they really thought it out and they really have a nice thorough plan. And now various people is running Venezuela. And I was telling people all along with all of this that Machado, what's her name? Machado? The person that won the Nobel Peace Prize. They were her side was never gonna become president. This was never about like getting the democratic results. So Gonzalez, I think, is the guy that actually won. Yes, it started before the 1900s. I did have some pre 1900 stuff in there, but the first thing I started with was what was it? I can't think of it. But you're right. Like it's been constant and it's been terrible. And basically, the reason I started with 1905 is Teddy Roosevelt's expansion of the Monroe Doctrine, where there was I want to say Brazil. Anyway, somebody, or was it Venezuela? It might have been Venezuela that they were trying to collect a debt from, and then Teddy Roosevelt said, "We'll take care of it," because they didn't want European militaries coming and colonializing. They're going to be pulling as much wealth as they can from the ground in Venezuela, and was very clear that people will not be the one running things. Yes, and not just anybody, and we'll get to that in a second. Let me actually finish. Hey, by the way, I want to mention this. Good morning, Lord Dementis. Yesterday, I wrongly corrected Lord Dementis on the show. I messaged him and told him, and he accepted my apology. But just in case you were on the show yesterday, I was wrong when I said that the COVID vaccine, the vaccine mandate for contractors had an exception for testing. I got that mixed up with the OSHA mandate, and so I was wrong. Dementis was right, and just want to affirm that publicly since I made the mistake publicly. Yes, Maduro is a wanted drug trafficker, the same as Noriega, except for one thing. Well, we don't know that he was. Noriega, Panama declared war on us. I just covered that. You weren't here, but there were major differences between what happened with Panama and what happened with Maduro. Also, I'd have a little more trouble. I might accept that a little more willingly if he hadn't just also pardoned Juan Orlando Hernandez, who was a convicted drug trafficker that was much bigger and more of a thing than Maduro. And I'll get into the whole narco-terrorism thing in a bit. I think Obama had a reward for Maduro's arrest too. I don't know about that. It's possible, but yeah, Venezuela with Maduro. DOJ will have to convict Maduro in court or he's done. Right, but how can you be okay with this and not be okay and still be okay with Juan Orlando Hernandez being pardoned? Do you see the inconsistency there? Like Juan Orlando, so I'll get to this in a second. This is not my point. Is this is not about drugs? This is the pretext. So all right, so let's so just getting into the legal issue here. Does he have the legal right to do what he did? Congress was notified after the operation began, not before. Previous administrations typically notified Congress before military action. White House Chief of Staff Susie Wild previously told Vanity Fair that U.S. strikes in Venezuela would require congressional approval. 75% of Americans said the Trump administration would need congressional approval for military action in Venezuela. Marco Rubio in the press conference here was just saying that it didn't need congressional approval because it was serving a warrant and it was a police action, not a military action. But I'm sorry, when you bomb a capital city and kidnap the president of that country and his wife, that is an act of war. I don't care if you want to try and pretend it's something else. The Trump administration, Marco Rubio in particular, seems to think that just by calling things things, they become those things. This was not serving a warrant. This was an act of war, both by our constitutional, both by the Constitution, by domestic law, and by international law. So one of the things they keep trying to say is that this was a foreign terrorist organization. There is a host of problems with that. Okay. Even beyond the typical foreign terrorist organization thing. So hear me out now. I know there's going to be some comments flying, but why is the designation as legally questionable? First, it's not an organization. The organization that he led is like an organization in the same way that like Antifa is an organization. It's not really a organized group, like which is sort of organized group is pretty essential to being an organization. They're loosely associated drug traffickers. Secondly, drug trafficking is not terrorist activity. And we'll get to this in a second. Even if validly designated, FTO status does not authorize military force. It only designates immigration bars, asset freezes, and material support penalties. It doesn't allow you to go and invade other countries and kidnap their leaders. So the State Department intended to announce Cartel de Solis as a foreign tour. So first, let's talk about whether or not this organization is even an organization. State Department announces that intent to designate Cartel de los Solis as a foreign terror organization. Maybe Robert would be able to pronounce that better than me. Sorry if I'm butchering your language, buddy. Or if, yeah, I'm assuming that you're speaking Spanish, but based on your name and interest in South American history. As foreign terrorist organization claiming it's headed by Maduro, FTO designation takes effect after a 7-day congressional review period, and then the U.S. invades Venezuela and captures Maduro. Here's the problem with this. For an FTO designation, the Secretary of State must find that all three of these criteria are met. One, it is a foreign organization. It's foreign, whether it's an organization is suspect. B, the organization engages in terrorist activity or retains the capability and intent to engage in terrorist activity. There is no indication at all that this Cartel de los Solis has ever engaged in any terrorist activity on the United States, or could if it wanted to. And then it also has to prove that the terrorist activity threatens the security of U.S. nationals or U.S. national security. Doesn't even remotely do that. There is nothing to indicate that is the case. So Marco Rubio just saying it's a terrorist organization does not technically make it a terrorist organization. It's like if you call an apple a banana, it does not become a banana. It's still an apple. It just means you're calling it the wrong thing. And that's what's happened with this whole FTO designation. None of these groups are actually terrorist organizations. They're not carrying out terrorist attacks. Drug smuggling is not a terrorist attack. Former state law. So this is for what some experts say. They're designating a non-thing. This is particularly this Cartel de Solis. They're designating a non-thing that is not a terror organization as a terrorist organization. So he's saying it's not even an organization. It's not even a thing. So how can it be a terrorist organization if it's not even an organization? Cartel de Solis per se doesn't exist. It's a journalistic expression created to refer to the involvement of Venezuelan authorities in drug trafficking. And then Insights Crimes, Jeremy McDermott. It's not a traditional vertically organized drug trafficking organization. It's a series of normally disconnected cells embedded within the Venezuelan military. So if there's no actual organization, the designation fails to meet the first legal requirement of being an organization. It's not a terrorist organization because it's not an organization. Okay, so drug trafficking does not equal terrorism under the U.S. law. Like I see a lot of people are always saying, well, all these people are going to overdose. And then in the press conference today, Donald Trump was talking about every single boat that's bombed saved 25,000 lives, which is, of course, horse crap. Under 8 U.S.C., terrorist activity means any activity which is unlawful and involves. So this is what I mean when I say you have to look at the statute. It's not just, oh, well, they're smuggling drugs and that's a terrorist activity, because what is terrorist activity actually is defined by U.S. law, by the law which allows the Secretary of State to declare an organization as a foreign terrorist organization. Hijacking or sabotage of conveyances, none of that. Nobody hijacked or sabotaged anything. Seizing, detaining individuals to compel third parties, that never happened. Violent attacks on internationally protected persons, that never happened. Assassination, that never happened. Use of biological, chemical, nuclear weapons or explosives, that never happened. And no, fentanyl doesn't count because A, fentanyl is a drug and that is covered under a different law. And B, Venezuela doesn't have anything to do with fentanyl. Threatening, attempting, or conspiring to do any of the above. So by the same legislation that allows the Secretary of State to designate organization as a foreign terrorist organization, it also lists this is what a terrorist organization does. This is what terrorism is, and it details out in detail exactly what a terrorist organization does. And in that same legislation, there is nothing that this cartel, which isn't even an organization, does that would qualify it as a terrorist organization. So that's why I keep saying you can call an apple a banana, but it doesn't make it a banana. It's still an apple. Cartels are drug organizations. They're criminal organizations. They are not terrorist organizations. Calling them terrorist organizations does not make them terrorist organizations. What makes somebody a terrorist organization is being an organization that carries out terrorist activity. FTO doesn't equal authorization for military force. So even if they are a terrorist organization, it's still not enough for them to go and just start a war. Former Pentagon Special Counsel Ryan Goodman said there's nothing that transforms an organization into something that's military targetable just because it's designated as a foreign terrorist organization. Law professor Rebecca Ingber, an FTO designation does not make an organization a lawful target for the use of force. It does not mean the United States is in an armed conflict with that group. And under international law, the U.S. can only use force in self-defense after an armed attack. So after. There was no armed attack on us. We're the ones doing the armed attack. Drug trafficking does not meet the standard. And I'll get to the comments here in just a second. Just want to finish up this part of the dashboard. EU, Mexico, Russia, and UN members have all condemned the strikes as violating international law and the UN Charter. Venezuela requested emergency UN Security Council meeting. Like right now, EU, Mexico, Russia, and the UN, the world is rallying against us. We're the bad guys here, not Maduro. Well, Maduro is a bad person. I'm not making, like, we got to be careful that we don't make this about Maduro. It's about us. It's about the United States illegally going into another country and kidnapping its president and his wife. Venezuela requested emergency UN Security Council meeting. Colombia's President Petro reported U.S. struck National Assembly building. So yeah. He even had, for some reason, Hugo Chavez's mausoleum bombed, which is just like twisted. Swedish foreign minister, all states have a responsibility to respect and act in accordance with the international law. So even Sweden is coming out against us. Like, this is not just about Maduro. This is why I keep saying, do not get trapped into thinking this is about Maduro. Maduro is a bad person, and we could have taken all kinds of other actions to have him removed. That does not make this legal. That does not make what we did okay. There's nothing that about Maduro that that allows for us to do what we did by domestic or international law. Okay, so well, Patsy stepped away. I have the one that was dead. That Trump just caught the head of the country behind stealing. Yeah, that is, sorry, dude. This is a reality-based podcast. Will the World Cup people take back their Peace Prize now? Right? I was like, he wants the Nobel Peace Prize so bad. And see, and so you got people like Paul Smith here making liberals cry again. Like, to you, this is all about just the liberals. And I don't know what is wrong with your soul. But U.S. soldiers are being asked to put their lives on the line. And you should really, as an American, as a patriot, you should be asking why. The same way you would if anybody else were president. Yes, Bibi has something from the UN against him. Yeah, he's got some arrest warrants for war crimes. I don't know what Beto O'Rourke has to do with. I'm not a liberal. This is wrong on so many levels. Yeah, just like invading other countries and kidnapping their leaders is wrong. I don't understand why this would be a debate, but it's okay when Trump does it. That's like, somebody says Trump will have his day. Oh, this death just to distract from Epstein files. Oh, it's not just, we're going to wait until we get to the juicy part here. We're going to get to a juicy part. This is what nobody on the news is talking about. And why is he doing it? Like, that's what people need to ask. And maybe partly it distracts from the Epstein files, but it's about more than that. Drugs don't threaten Americans. Drugs aren't weapons. And this is like one of those false dichotomies that gets bandied about. And I would like to address that. I am against drugs. But I think that we can use those in conventional means. There are other better ways of combating drugs than legally invading other countries and taking out their leaders. I don't accept that the choices are either you let drugs kill Americans or you invade other countries and take out their presidents. It's a false dichotomy. I think that there is a way we can do in overdoses. We're already down 75% or 25% on 2024 for fentanyl. And fentanyl overdoses, why if that's your concern, again, why are you okay with pardoning Juan Orlando Hernandez? Why are you okay with pardoning the guy that launders money for the cartels that now has made the Trump cryptocurrency? Why are you okay with those things, but on this one you're not okay with it? And why are you okay with Trump or with Canada and the UK no longer sharing intelligence information about drug organizations because they don't trust us? Like, if the drug trafficking is your concern, then talk about the drug trafficking, but don't use drug trafficking as a pretext to justify something illegal. This was never about drugs and taking. Yes, it's not. Wait until we get to the juicy part. Imagine if JFK. This was not anything at all like I don't. We almost had World War III. If I was made in an FAO scenario with cartels, then it would likely permit designation. But for legal or political reasons, it is unaddressed. I don't know what any of that means. If it was made into a FAO, I know what FAO means, but I don't know what a FAO scenario with cartels means. Again, to me, it's like I don't feel like this is a choice between accepting drug cartels and invading a foreign country. Like, I think that we can combat drug cartels without invading foreign countries. Only traitor-esque cowards and fools are against. Okay, well, I mean, that's a ad hominem attack with zero understanding of international law or politics or geopolitical context or anything at all. That's just a knee jerk. Trump said so, and I agree with Trump. And if you don't agree with Trump, you're a traitor. That is not at all logical or cogent thinking. Your knowledge of law is pathetic and awfully screwed up and wrong. Then tell me how. Dementis, if we'd let them stabilize without subverting, then they wouldn't need to hate us. People applaud Trump for ending qualms with a phone call, but fail to look at the big picture when he does something like this. Yes, I agree. Fentanyl is okay. Fentanyl has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with Venezuela. And fentanyl is not a toxic, deadly poison. It is a drug. And I think, like you see these movies where like somebody was exposed to fentanyl and then like the entire ER has to be cleared out or something. Like, it's not that as toxic as some people would have you believe. But it's also irrelevant because fentanyl is not made in Venezuela. It has nothing to do with fentanyl. You care more about you care more about just sucking up to Trump than you do like actually acknowledging reality. Why do they? All right, so let's go back to this. Okay, so let's talk about, since people are getting into this, let's talk about this whole narco-terrorism myth. The administration narrative is that Venezuela under Maduro is flooding the U.S. with drugs, particularly as a narco-terrorist state, threatening American lives through drug trafficking. U.S. drug overdoses in 2023, it was 108,000. It went down. It was like about 75,000 in 2024. It was already on its way down. 70% of those deaths are from fentanyl, and 0% of that fentanyl came from Venezuela. And so for those that don't understand how percentages work, 0% is like a fancy way of saying none. None of it came from Venezuela. Has absolutely nothing, not a zilch, squat to do with fentanyl. Fentanyl is an issue, and stopping it is an issue. And this is one of the things where I say, if you really were concerned about fentanyl, then you should be looking at where it's coming from and not just yelling fentanyl to justify invading other countries and kidnapping their leaders. Venezuela is not a major fentanyl source. Regional experts note that Venezuela is not to be involved in the illicit fentanyl trade, which accounts for the highest number of overdose deaths in the U.S. The vast majority of fentanyl entering the U.S. comes from Mexico and China, not Venezuela, and it comes over the southern border, and it's smuggled. 92% of it, people, 92% of it is smuggled over by American citizens. And it's coming over in the shipping containers. It's not coming over on boats. It's coming over by land in shipping containers, being smuggled by U.S. citizens. And that does not mean that I am okay with cartels, and it does not mean that I am okay with fentanyl just because I state what the facts are. If you're not concerned about what the facts are and how it's coming over and who's coming it over, then you're not concerned about fentanyl. If you're concerned about fentanyl, you would be worried about where it's actually coming from. The DEA and UN are silent so far. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Agent has never described, not silent about the thing in terms of this whole Cartel de Solis thing. U.S. Drug Enforcement has never described Cartel de Solis as a drug trafficking organization. In its annual National Drug Threat Assessment, the UN World Drug Report has never identified Cartel de Solis as a trafficking organization. No major international drug monitoring body has validated the administration's claim about Venezuelan narco-terrorism. Like, this is something that they just hatched to justify what they did. They did not do what they did because it was justified. If you understand the logical difference between what I'm saying there, they are using this as a pretext, not a reason. What Venezuela actually offered, the U.S. government, this is Maduro just a couple of days ago. The U.S. government knows because we've told many of their spokespeople that if they want to seriously discuss an agreement to combat drug trafficking, we're ready. If they want oil, Venezuela is ready for U.S. investments, like with Chevron, whenever they want it, whatever they want it, and however they want it. But the real issue is oil, and we're going to get into that in a second. Where Venezuela and drugs actually is an issue is Colombia, I think it manufactures, I want to say 84%. That's off of memory, so I could be wrong, but I think 84% of the cocaine in the world comes from Colombia. Massive producer of cocaine. The Colombian president, in spite of what Trump says, has actually kind of been trying to crack down on it, and it's harder to smuggle the cocaine out of Colombia, so they smuggle it through Venezuela and it goes out from Venezuela. It's a trafficking hub, not a manufacturing hub, is what I'm saying. Like the cocaine is not manufactured in Colombia. It is trafficked, or it's not manufactured in Venezuela. It's trafficked out of Venezuela because they have looser laws and because Maduro is, like I said, a really bad person. But that's drug trafficking. That's not terrorism. This whole thing about narco-terrorism is a pretext. And I know that people are going to still be insisting on these false dichotomies. I am not again. I'm not like saying, oh yeah, drugs aren't a problem. They are a problem, but that does not mean that we have the right to just go and invade other countries and kidnap their presidents. So what is the real motivation? Vice President Vance offered multiple off-ramps, but was a very clear throughout this process. The drug trafficking must stop and the stolen oil must be returned to the United States. Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves. The narco-terrorism narrative provides political cover for regime change that unlock all the oil access. The real thing here is about the oil. Don't be deceived. It's not about Maduro and it's not about drug trafficking. It is 100% about the oil. And this is the part that nobody's talking about and actually should be talking about, because what I'm about to show you, if this doesn't piss you off, there's something wrong with you. Because like actual lives are being put on the line. American soldiers are going to be patrolling the streets of Venezuela. And fortunately, nobody got killed. But according to Trump, if you got hit, as though that's just, oh, yeah, like we've got American soldiers taking bullets for what? Bottom line, this was just a distraction. We chess pawns for billionaires. Exactly. Iran's you misspelled Trump's fascist. Like if Biden had gone into Iran and tried to liberate Iran, you would have been for it. It's like some of you guys are, like honest, and I disagree with you. Some of you are just deluded and unwilling to think cogently. So like this is just like you're just going to vindicate anything Trump does. You misspelled Trump's fascist regime war crimes. Wrong. Good God, but let's not install the Shah again. All right, he's talking. Venezuela was involved in collusion with China to interfere. And no, it wasn't. That's you're weird. Okay, like how marijuana was. Once government had hands in the market while everyone wanted it legal, they said fine and continued to profit. I think that marijuana should be 100% legal. And honestly, I think if a lot of our leaders got stoned, we'd have a better country. Like some people need to get stoned. Nancy Mace needs to get like good and baked. And, sorry if that offends anybody, but like some people need to learn to chill. God bless President Trump is okay. Yeah, that's all nonsense. Hope happens every few decades. It ran Contra for arms, Pineapple, Face Noriega, now Venezuela. All of these were dirty, hidden, ulterior motives. And then once we go through and we destroy these countries and undermine them and make them completely unstable and impossible for half the population to live in, and they come up here trying to survive somewhere, and then we like act like why are we responsible for them? And like there's all this talk. I've been hearing a lot of people talk about Venezuela, and if you break it, you'll fix it. But fixing it doesn't involve just the ones that are there. Fixing it involves all the people that are coming over here because they had to leave there. Right. I don't think he's trying to equate marijuana with fentanyl or cocaine. I think he's talking about just the financial business side of things. Like once the government legalized it, they didn't have any problem taxing it. At least that's what I got out, or was getting out of what he was saying. Yeah, that's just weird. But you're like, it's funny that you talk about this. But the guy that did the most money laundering, I think his name was Chen. He was the CEO of ByteDance. ByteDance was a cryptocurrency that was money laundering for the cartels. And he was convicted of that. And he was prosecuted for it. He was sent to jail for it. Guess what Trump did? Trump pardoned him. And then that same guy had helped design the Trump currency, the Trump cryptocurrency, which is like now worth like a couple of $1 billion or something. So Where are you sitting on that? Are you okay with Trump pardoning people that launder money for the cartels as long as he gets billions of dollars out of it? Juan Orlando Hernandez is the guy that was he was a convicted drug trafficker who was the former president of Honduras, and it was actually like a 10-year investigation, and he is probably arguably one of the top 5 convictions for drug trafficking of all time. Like, and he did like a lot of really, really terrible things, and including like having journalists killed and stuff like that. And then he got convicted, and then Trump pardoned him. And there's a whole other thing attached to that, a whole other network of billions called Zeeds that Peter Thiel is invested in, the Zeeds down in Honduras, and Hernandez is the one that initiated that sort of thing. And even in Trump's endorsement of the guy that is his successor for the president, and the guy he actually won, he endorsed Hernandez, or he endorsed the Hernandez guy and pardoned and announced his pardon for Hernandez in the same social media post, the same Truth Most social post. So you don't even have to try and connect those things. Donald Trump said it. You know, I don't know what I know nothing about. I don't know what I am assuming. I don't know what I am misinforming about. NGO funded. I don't know what NGOs have to do with anything here. How would you have combated Venezuela drug smuggling? They were challenging strikes on the boats too. Yes, because what we were doing with the boat strikes is illegal. We could do what we've always done, which is interdict drug boats, arrest the people, turn them over. I don't understand why there was all of a sudden this pressing need to block that. I again, if you're concerned about fentanyl and overdoses, Venezuela has nothing to do with fentanyl and overdoses. Okay. So, trying to debate between going through comments and going on to the next section. Oh, so yeah, you're talking to Brian there about his weirdo things. Yes, Venezuela was smuggling cocaine. There's no question about that. I've actually said that. Venezuela absolutely was smuggling cocaine. People aren't dying by but cocaine and fentanyl are different things, and people aren't dying of cocaine overdoses on the same level. And there are other ways to fight cocaine that are legal, and I'm just saying we should fight cocaine legally. I don't think breaking the law and bombing ships out of the water because we think they might be carrying drugs, that's not legal. If we have to break the law to enforce the law, there is no law. Drug will never stop flowing in the U.S. It is funny that the people that make laws against gun, or arguments against gun control, that say, well, as long as people want guns, they're going to get them. Well, the same thing applies to cocaine, right? If people want it bad enough, they can get it. And that's why, most of the people, if you're really wanting to address overdoses as the issue, then the number one thing you have to do, according to every expert analysis on this, the number one thing you have to do is treat the demand side, not the supply side. Because as long as people want it, they're going to get it. So if you want to stop the drug flow, stop people from wanting it. I'm not having a hard time with the U.S. winning. I don't think the U.S. is winning. I don't think it's winning versus losing. I think Donald Trump is violating international laws, and I think it's actually hurting America to do that. Yes, fentanyl is deadly and it kills people. It's also, don't know who argued that it's not. It is a drug that people overdose on. It's not a terrorist weapon, and it has nothing to do with Venezuela. No, it can't kill you if you touch it. That's one of those things, one of those hyperbolic things that, like, people take it as a drug, right? Like, not everybody that takes it, is committing suicide. Just like coming into contact with it doesn't mean you're going to die. It's kind of overblown that, like, oh, if it touches your skin, you're going to die. I can check that up though. I'll just, in case I'm wrong, I'll check this up. Can you die if fentanyl touches your skin? Okay. Just waiting for the Claude to get back to me on this. But I'm pretty sure that, okay. No, you cannot die from fentanyl touching your skin. This is a common misconception that has been debunked by toxicologists and medical professionals. Here's why. Absorption through the skin is too slow. While fentanyl can be absorbed through the skin, that's how fentanyl patches work for pain management. The absorption rate through the through intact skin is very low. It takes hours of sustained contact for therapeutic fentanyl patches to deliver controlled doses. Brief contact doesn't deliver dangerous amounts. Accidentally touching fentanyl powder or residue won't allow enough drug to enter your bloodstream quickly enough to cause overdose. Fentanyl overdoses require the drug to rapidly enter the bloodstream, typically through injection, snorting, or smoking. Those overdose videos are misleading. Viral videos of police officers apparently overdosing after skin contact with fentanyl are not actually fentanyl overdoses. Medical experts have identified those reactions as panic attacks or anxiety responses, not opioid toxicity. Basic precautions are still smart. While skin contact won't cause overdose, if you encounter unknown powder, wash your hands with soap and water. Don't touch your face. Avoid creating dust that could be inhaled. The real danger within fentanyl is inhalation or ingestion, not casual skin contact. Healthcare workers and first responders handle fentanyl regularly using standard gloves without experiencing overdoses. So I hope that answers your question. Wanted to check it before I embarrass myself by saying something wrong again. But that is a myth. The lies being told. Okay. So yeah, if the border is closed and there's no more drugs coming in, then why do we need to bomb all these ships? There's just, I know some of you have trouble accepting this, but not everything Donald Trump says is true. Like, sometimes Donald Trump lies. Sometimes he exaggerates. Kelly, really? Why are you so backwards in your thing? I don't know why you think I'm back. What am I backwards in? What am I saying that's backwards? When Trump pardons people, it's because they rat on others. No, nobody got arrested because of Juan Orlando Hernandez. And Juan Orlando Hernandez was the top dog. He was the guy that they were like, he was the top. Like, who was he going to flip on? And when they asked him why he pardoned the guy, he didn't remember who it was. Because, true, but no, it doesn't ship from Venezuela. Cocaine ships from Venezuela. Fentanyl does not come out of Venezuela. Cocaine does. Fentanyl does not come through Venezuela. They're not sending it to Venezuela just to have Venezuela send it to Mexico and come up over the border. Almost all of it comes over the Mexican southern border. It comes, the chemicals are made in China, and then they're smuggled into Mexico, and then they're smuggled over the border. And I've mentioned this before. Most of it is on these shipping containers, and we need to advance how we can inspect these shipping containers, because only like I want to say it's 3.7% or something like that of shipping containers get inspected. Most shipping containers don't get inspected, and that's where most of it is coming from. I have no idea what gas prices have to do with illegally kidnapping foreign leaders. Yes. You must have. Okay, no, I didn't forget Noriega, and I actually talked about Noriega at the top of the broadcast. The difference between Noriega and this is Noriega declared war on the United States first. Like Panama declared war on America. Panama killed a U.S. serviceman. Panama had detained and was torturing American citizens. Like Panama was actually declaring war on us and doing acts of war against us when we went in. None of that is true with Venezuela. And it's not smelled Noriega either. But in the link in the description on YouTube, there is a link to this dashboard, so you can go and you can look at the top and see where I covered that. All right. It is distracting from the Epstein files, but let me go on and cover this next part, because this is where the real thing comes in. This is what it's actually about. It's about oil, but it's not just about oil. But we have to go back a few months to September, when a company called Blue Water Acquisition Corporation submitted a $10 billion bid to acquire PDV Holding Incorporated, the parent company of Citgo Petroleum, which Citgo, in case you don't know, is not what you say to a dog when you're trying to confuse it. Sit, go, sit, go. No, Citgo is the Venezuela's crown jewel gas company. It has refineries in Texas, Louisiana, and Illinois. It's like their main oil company. So Blue Water was trying to acquire it. But then on November 14th, out of the blue, it just said, we're going to pull out, citing market and regulatory conditions. 11 days later, Blue Water was taken over by Trump media executives. Devin Nunes, Scott Blade, Kevin McGarren. So now Blue Water is being run by Trump media. I know it has nothing to do with Trump with media, but don't let the name fool you. Like a lot of this stuff, they're mixing up in different pots now. Anywhere there's corruption to be had, they will be corrupt. So then federal court approved Amber Energy's $5.9 billion acquisition of Citgo on December 2nd because, Blue Water had pulled out. But now, after this whole thing, everything's up in the air again, right? Venezuela oil is available. And Maduro publicly offered oil to the U.S. Venezuela is ready for U.S. investment, like with Chevron. Whatever they want, whenever they want it, wherever they want it, and however they want it. And now you've also got Trump media, 41% of which is owned by Trump, with this interest in Venezuela oil. So the U.S. military invades Venezuela, captures Maduro, regime change. It's going to decide who is running it. Donald Trump is going to personally decide who is running Venezuela. That's why I was pointing out this whole various people thing earlier. He doesn't have the names yet, but he is going to decide who is running Venezuela. Venezuela will have no say in it. The woman that won the Nobel Peace Prize, she won't have any say in it. The people, the Gonzalez guy that actually probably won the election in 2024, he won't have a say in it. The guy that's like right now hiding out in Spain, he won't have a say in it. Who has a say in it? Donald Trump. What does Donald Trump do? Donald Trump has 41% of Trump media, which is going to have a massive interest in Venezuela oil. 41% Trump's ownership stake in Trump Media and Technology Group. $10 billion was Blue Water's original bid for Citgo assets. and 11 days between Blue Water withdrawal and Trump media takeover. How does none of this sound suspicious to anybody else? Trump owns 41% of the Trump media. Trump media CEO, general counsel, and key advisor is now control Blue Water. Devin Nunes, Devin of Don't Have a Cow Man fame, the guy that sued a cow. Blue Water was actively bidding $10 billion on Venezuela oil assets. Venezuela regime change unlocks those exact assets for privatization, and Trump orders the military action that creates those opportunities. Okay. Anybody else have a problem with that? Any Trump supporters? Any non-Trump supporters? Anybody that's like, I can't support this even though I was a Trump supporter? For companies positioned in the Venezuelan oil space, new government needs to sell private oil assets to pay debts. Citgo and other assets become available for acquisition. New oil contracts and exploration rights. Access to the world's largest proven oil reserves. Blue Water's position, even though they didn't win the initial Citgo bid, Trump media executives now control a SPAC, special purpose acquisition company, specifically designed to acquire businesses, positioned perfectly for the post-regime change opportunities. And these SPACs were just created. Am I making any sense to anybody here? Is anybody else concerned at all that Donald Trump invaded another country on the pretext that they were bad and fentanyl when they don't have any fentanyl, and he stands to make literally billions and billions of dollars off of it? Trump media could be owning large parts of Venezuelan oil reserves. Has nothing whatsoever to do with any of that. It was like, that's just ignoring everything that I just said. Unless, I don't know, is it? Okay, yeah, that was like 20 minutes. All right, I'm going to skip down in the comments and see if there's anything. All right. I have a problem with that. It sounds like a massive conflict of interest. Thank you, Lord Dementia. I was hoping for you because I was thinking that you would. I think that is insane. I think, and like Dick Cheney and Halliburton is the closest thing I could find to an analogy. But Dick Cheney actually divested his interest in Halliburton before the Iraq invasion. So Robert Rodriguez says it's suspect. Trump Down syndrome. I don't like using. I've said this before on the show many, many times. It's not just calling you out. I don't like using disabilities as slurs. Quit whining about. I don't know what you're talking about, the Epstein files. I do think, I mean, like, amazing how, so, like, I don't want to get into it. Always money and corruption. None of the current administration is qualified or lawful. Doesn't debate and doesn't respond 100%. That's with that segment. Like, there are some Trump supporters will have an honest conversation with you. Others, if you show them something they don't like, they just go into this hyper self-protection mode where they just shut down from everything that's, you know, like they're semi-permeable membranes or something, where words come out but none get in. Be honest, were they lawful? When were they lawful? Who is they? MAGA back in business. I don't know what. I think there's a conversation going on there. Are you available? Are you able to have a conversation? Or are you just a chatbot? So I think it looks like Bethany just heard that for the first time. What's your Halliburton? Yeah. So it's even worse than Halliburton and Blackwater and all of that kind of stuff. At least Dick Cheney divested himself from Halliburton. But this is 41%. He owns 41% of a company that could be owning the largest, or at least having access to the largest oil reserve in the entire world. You talking about Paul? There's certain things that I'll ban people. I ban people over racism and anti-Semitism stuff, like when it becomes too overt. But other than that, I tend to not ban people. The fact that he doesn't mute and stuff is one of my favorite traits. But yeah, that creature wow. I even so there must be somebody that's really, is this the guy? Trump didn't win a single swing state in 2000 or 2020. Did you know that? All right. So, all right. This guy, sorry, dude. We're going to we're going to put you on timeout. If I can. We're going to put you in timeout and see if you can learn your lesson. Okay. Okay. Seems like I lost my new comments. Are we talking about Paul, or are we talking about big, like the loud bragging username? Are you talking about Big Rick Dick or whatever it was? Like that's like double overcompensating. Like Walter Elon appears to be back in. Saw him recently. Oh, yeah, he just got out until his stock stabilized. Chat, you can block anyone that you don't want to see. I got so nervous. No anti-Semitism, but then he said as long as you're not overt. Phew. Now let us actually have a conversation. Technically, Trump won Georgia in 2020. No, that's actually been debunked. I know the 315,000 vote thing, but the fact that there were like they're trying to make it seem like there's this suspicious thing about it, but the recounts annul that. Like the fact that like they actually had several recounts, including a hand recount. So this whole 315,000 thing that some people on the right have tried to drum up as being a thing is debunked just by the very fact that there were these hand recounts that confirmed it. The link to it is in the description, Robert. I created it. It's a dashboard that I create using Claude, and I kind of have a little conversation where I, discuss things with him and kind of try to get to the heart of things, and then I have Claude create this dashboard for me. I find it's helpful, and it's good for like walking through the conversation. But yeah, that's available in the link in the description. What do you mean they are? Who is they and who is us? Uh, well, I mean, I said it's been debunked, and then I told you exactly how. It's debunked by the fact that there were hand recounts of every single ballot that were confirmed. And so that's not just saying, I'm not just saying it's debunked because I said it's debunked. I'm saying it's debunked because it's proven false by the hand recount. So yeah, let's get back to how Beck. Hey, how you doing, Beck? I think I haven't seen you in a couple of shows. Nice to see you. Make no mistake, it's for oil only. Honestly, ever since voter fraud was brought up, we have not heard an end to the accusations. And thank you for the link. I don't watch hardly any streams. Um, well, Gloss, I'm actually kind of. Thank you for watching mine. Manipulation is. I tend to. I make these dashboards for every so, and they're free to like measure, send about. My whole goal is really to actually get into facts and share the facts. Which is why if I get them wrong, I will correct myself. I thought he had a. So is Big Rick? Big Rick is. This guy is a bleeping ale for crying out. But do you have anything specific that you want to? Is there anything actual of substance that you want to say? Yeah, it has been debunked because there were hand recounts. I think that this one good thing is now all the cute Venezuelan ladies will be able to come to the United States. Not like they'd have anything to do with me. I mean, I'm married, so it wouldn't matter anyway, but it's not like I'm not any I have to watch my face the whole time I'm doing this podcast. I know I'm not the best looking guy in the world. I'm talking about the oh. Colombia. So what happened is the Donald Trump is now like saying he's going to go after Colombia. The Colombian president said something about he's not worried, and Donald Trump in the press conference said, he should be. Colombia, the like a lot of the cocaine gets produced in Colombia, and the president that's there right now actually is trying to crack down on the drug trafficking. But Donald Trump is not exactly known for his quest for facts. So I'm assuming, yeah. That's certainly a benefit. Getting the distraction from the Epstein files. But I think the main thing is the billions of dollars he's gonna have control of through the Trump media. Well, yeah, I think because the that's where the cocaine actually grows, is in South America. I mean, it's hard to grow cocaine in Alaska. Wag the dog. You'd be surprised. These women go for older men, especially when strike too. But my wife would probably not be be very happy if I started dating a hot young Venezuelan chick. I'll never win at bingo because I block the idiots. Oh, we've got I've got Patsy made a bingo card for these chats. I think the proper action would be for the DEA to send agents down there to verify Colombia is actually working to fight it. I think that I don't know if it has to do with DEA agents, but there is actual organizations that track these kinds of things and look at these kinds of things. And I'm under the impression that Colombia has actually been cracking down, and that's actually part of the reason that Venezuela is become a distribution hub, because it's easier to get the drugs from uh, Colombia to Venezuela because of the crackdown. I like older men. My first husband was a great deal older than I. The equator is a perfect spot to grow drugs. Not saying you should, though. Hey, we don't have a drugs problem. We have an American druggie problem. Yeah, and that's like I was mentioning earlier, that if you actually were concerned about drug overdoses, then you would start with, like, how do you reduce drug overdoses, not like kidnapping the leader of Venezuela. I don't think there's any indication there is. I can look into that later, but I'm pretty sure I was reading that Colombia's been cracking down lately. Yeah, the former guy was. But I think the new guy, the current president is trying to. I'll ask Claude what he thinks. Claude is trying to autocorrect me to Columbia, the university. Or anybody else still owe Columbia records and tapes a bunch of money? It'd be funny. Okay, Colombian president. Okay, so here. Colombian President Gustavo Petro has implemented a fundamentally different approach to drug policy than his predecessors, which has become highly controversial. Here's the factual situation. He ended forced cocoa crop eradication programs, focuses on alternative development and supporting small farmers to voluntarily switch crops, targets large trafficking networks rather than small growers, advocates internationally for ending the war on drugs and treating drug use as a public health issue, pushed for global drug policy reform at the UN. The measurable results: cocoa cultivation reached record highs, 253,000 hectares in 2023, 67% of the world total. Cocaine production capacity increased 53%. Wow. Ratification efforts declined. So the Trump administration says they failed demonstrably to meet drug control obligations. Petro's perspective, he argues traditional enforcement has failed and caused violence, claims his approach to addresses root causes of cultivation, says consumer countries share responsibility. So it sounds like maybe he's not involved in drug trafficking, and he's actually trying to stop drug trafficking, but his policy towards not pursuing the people growing it has actually allowed for more cocaine to be grown. So it's nuanced. Sometimes things are nuanced. They're not just. So anyway, I hope that answers your question, LD. Better living through chemistry. You can cry about drugs on. Oh wait, hang on. Let me go back here. All right, so we're done with our dashboard there. So we'll just take this off. Hang on one second. I just want to. Okay. Okay. And pardon drug dealers. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing about pardoning drug dealers, like pardoning the Binance guy and pardoning Hernandez, like those things kind of make the whole Trump is trying to get the drug traffickers thing kind of, a little bit suspect. Okay, so this was left was up in arms about election manipulation prior to Trump's win in 2016. I don't remember the left being up in arms about. I think there was a difference between what you're talking about and what happened in the 2016 election. 2016 election, it was more about voter manipulation and Russia interfering with the election by using targeted things on Facebook and stuff. It was more about uh, manipulating voters through fake news, like actual fake news. I'm not talking about like, what people call CNN fake news or something like that, or even Fox News fake news, like actual fake news. Like there was a guy that was literally in his mom's basement. I'm not making this up. Actually in his mom's basement, like making up fake news, like inventing it out of full cloth and creating these kind of fake news sites and then sharing those things on Facebook that were then targeted to specific groups of people that were most susceptible, that would then share them on Facebook and get passed around. And so there was a lot of voter manipulation through this that was actually engineered by Russia. This is all proven by the Republican-led investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. That's totally different than talking about the actual results of the vote being obtained fraudulently. Like those are two different things. That the only similarity is that they have the word election in them. But the charges about the 2016 election are totally different than the charges about the 2020 election. And when people say the 2024 election was stolen and manipulated by Elon Musk and Starlink, and I also say that's bogus. Like to actually rig a U.S. election, statistically is impossible, because you have each precinct, like precincts are run differently. The voting machines are airlocked, and you just have to have like thousands of people involved in the conspiracy and like billions of dollars, and each state has different laws, and sometimes even different counties have different laws in different states, and you'd have to know how to manipulate each precinct in order to overturn an election. It would be very, very impossible. Like just logically, there's no way to do it. It's too broken up. It's not about the drugs. No, it's not about Murado at all. It's about the oil, or Maduro. So it's safe to say his policies are not working. Yeah, I think that's safe to say. I would say that probably after reading that, my impression is that his policies are not working, but his motives are not. He's not working with the cartels. He's trying to have a different way of the sorry his policies aren't working, but his policies aren't financial, or his motives aren't financial. See, like that's where there's no indication that that's true. Like there's no As far as I know, he's not like getting money for this. It's more about uh trying to find a new way to fight the war on terror. And he's war on drugs. And he's got, like maybe some valid points. Give them something else to grow. That's good. When you've only got one revenue crop, it's easy to like only grow that revenue. But also there is something to, like what we've been saying before. People buy drugs and people sell drugs because people buy drugs. So the countries that use them are also responsible, right? Like that's why I say if you really want to be interested in fighting the drug trade, you've got to start with demand. I thought Christmas trees couldn't talk. I have no idea. That one's some sort of thing that went past me. Some people probably are. That doesn't make what we did legal. Again, I think Maduro is a bad person. I don't think that anybody is justifying Maduro as a person here. But that doesn't make what Donald Trump did legal. I like it when the spellers can't even spell the curse they are trying to spam. Okay. I'm not the one that brought up the 2016 election. And yes, Russia did interfere in the election. That's like just saying Russia, Russia, Russia like Trump does not mean Russia did not interfere in the 2016 election. That's been proven. Yes, voter manipulation. And that's what happened. Voters got manipulated. It's not the same thing as changing the outcome of the election. That's not the same thing as like stealing the election the way Trump talks about. It's different things. Anyway, I don't want to get into this anymore. I've addressed your take what I say or leave it, but that's all we're talking about it. That's not the conversation we're having right now. Especially because of the last oh my goodness. Biden pulled it off. I don't know what Biden pulled off. I don't know what's going on with the trees. The world sees what can go wrong. Why is it that liberals do not want voter ID then? We're not talking about voting. My son could hack it. No, he couldn't. Only mentally. I mean, he couldn't because they're anyway. They're air gapped. You can't access it. Only mentally ill Democrat veterans. Wow. The elections in Venezuela went 70% against Maduro after the election took power by killing. Well, he was already in power. And again, this is not about Maduro. And Joe Biden didn't, said that the election was invalid. But that doesn't give us the legal right to go and kidnap him. Like, there are all kinds of Vladimir Putin's election was rigged. Do you think we should go and kidnap him? Like, we can't just go and kidnap people because we said their election was rigged. So you're saying no one, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, why are you, did I say that? If I didn't say that, then why are you saying that I said that? Check the facts, Jack. I don't know what facts. The oil is small. Well, when he can get billions of dollars, that is not small potatoes. Not when you're talking about the largest oil reserve in the world. That is not small potatoes. he owns 41% of Trump Media, which stands to be controlling like 30% of the oil reserves in the world. If you have trouble discerning my gender, then I don't know what's wrong with you. But just for the record, Kelly is a gender neutral. I mean, like, actually, in 1967, the year I was born, is the last year more boys named. Kelly was more often a boy's name than a girl's name. And it's kind of stupid to like make comments about like what people are named. Like it's like I, as a newborn infant, chose a name for myself and intentionally chose one that was gender neutral so that somebody named Jeb could like make stupid comments about it 58 years later in a YouTube chat. You realize how stupid that sounds? Like that's dumb, dude. Like get past junior high and have an actual adult conversation. You can just admit Donald Trump, well, he's not the best president in the history of the United States. I mean, no one looking at it objectively would say that. Venezuela is cheering now. Just wait until they get a load of Trump. Yeah, I think that, like not having Maduro as president and having Trump as the overlord or various people, like he's not installing the person that won the election. So all the people talking about how the election, Maduro wasn't fairly elected, then why isn't he putting in the person that was Gonzalez? Why doesn't he put the person that we believe actually won the election? Why isn't he making that person president? He's not making the vice president president. He's not making the person that was chased away, Gonzalez. I think they're like hiding in Spain now. He's not making it the person that won the Nobel Peace Prize. Why isn't he? If the thing was about Venezuela having autonomy and being able to choose its own leader, and this guy stealing it, why is that not what he's doing? Why is he making various people in charge of the Venezuelan oil when he owns 41% of Trump Media, which wants to have an interest in Venezuelan oil? Nobody's talking about Maduro being a good person. This is a false dichotomy. This is one of the favorite Trump supporter tactics, is to use a false dichotomy. But if your logic is that, then why isn't he making what's her name, Machado? Why isn't he making Gonzalez the president? Why isn't he restoring the democratically elected person? You won't answer that question because this is not your actual valid, that you don't actually believe that that's the issue. You're just regurgitating a talking point that you heard from Trump. I don't know. I don't know if I said something to you, or I might be getting confused here. The only people not cheering about this are non-Venezuelan. No, it's not legal at all. It's not legal. And actually there are a lot of people that are not happy about it too. But whether somebody is happy about it or not is not the point. Whether it's legal or not is the point. Donald Trump illegally invaded a country and kidnapped the leader, took it over, and now he stands to gain controlling access of the oil supply, the largest oil supply in the world, while he owns 41% of the media of the company that looks to be controlling that oil. And you think that my problem, you don't have a problem with that? I do. See, yeah, just nonsense I've already addressed. What is the measurement you are using to say he is the best? I always wonder who's the second best then. And then like compare their policies. Like what makes Trump better than, say, Lincoln? I don't know what I'm lying about. Uh, all of this is true. Like if you're saying I'm lying, like Trump Media, he owns 41% of Trump Media. Trump Media bought out or has the controlling interest in Blue Water, which put in a $10 billion bid for Citgo, which now that whole thing is up in the air. I'm not lying. I'm stating facts. That you don't like the facts I am stating does not make them lies. These people are transparent. Read the Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky, and you'll have them read like the Bible. This is a playbook for being a bad faith grifter. What am I saying that is in bad faith? What am I grifting here? Why am I like the guy that is looking like literally used the US military to invade another country so that he could have control and financial investment in the largest oil reserve in the world? That guy is not grifting, but me stating the facts that show that's what happened, somehow that's me grifting. Uh, uh, yeah, I think that some people are going to have to end up going to jail. It's unlawful to obey an unlawful order. No, according to the 1973 War Powers Resolution Act, the action in Venezuela is not completely legal. There's nothing there. That's just an untrue statement. And just making these unqualified, unambiguous things. The 1973 War Powers Resolution Act was meant to contain and restrain. It was a reaction to the executive office overreaching its power. He was supposed to notify Congress before he invaded. There was supposed to be a vote. There wasn't. No, I'm sorry. He violated the 1973 War Powers Action Act. Biden pulled off cheating during. Biden didn't. Yeah, we're just not gonna. You were talking about. I was responding to a question about voting. I'm trying to not get distracted. So, all right, you're just going to keep just talking in these hyperbolic smears, and you're not going to actually say anything substantive. So I won't read I'll read any comments you have that is actually on the substance, but just generally saying that this is mobilizing radical movements, that's just hyperbolic propaganda nonsense. Okay. Venezuelans are in tears. Okay, so a Venezuelan historian here. You said it could. We're not talking about that. No, I don't want us drug kidnapping a foreign president. I don't want us bombing the capital city of Venezuela. I don't want us assuming control of another nation. You trying to describe that as kidnapping a drug cartel leader? He's not a drug cartel leader. He doesn't even lead a drug cartel. Like, have a good faith argument. Yeah, so this guy's just spouting nonsense. People in Afghanistan cheered too. Yeah, and people in Iraq cheered. People in Vietnam cheered. Yeah, sorry. let's not talk about the 2020 election. That's stupid. We're talking about the U.S. invading Venezuela right now. This has nothing to do with independence for Venezuela. Oh Lord, you people are buying every excuse not to man to justify this. You've attacked the country without provocation, without Congress, and it's just illegal. It's against US law, it's against the US Constitution, and it's against international law. You can't just go around deciding that this president is wrong and then overthrowing the country and deciding to run it again. Like, we just conquered Venezuela and removed their sitting government. And we replaced them with various people. And we did this on the whim of a 79-year-old man who can barely say a sentence without slurring, who thinks that like sharks are going to die in battery infested waters. Jebediah got put on blast. I don't know what I said to him, but I'm glad I said something amusing. What happened for the people in Venezuela is good, but they are just going to get another dictator installed that will continue, that will keep them doing the payroll. Yeah, I mean, and this is why I've been like at the very. If you probably most people weren't here, like almost 2 hours ago when I started, but the very first thing I said is this. This is not about Maduro. And the most important thing you need to keep in mind is this is not about Maduro. There are lots of bad leaders in the world. And there are lots of leaders in the world that, their ability to lead is questionable. You've got this guy, what's his name? Bonacino, or whatever, the guy in Brazil that tried his own coup. And Donald Trump puts a 50% tariff on Brazil, because Brazil had the audacity to prosecute this guy for trying to steal an election. But now, in this case, this guy overthrows, this guy doesn't honor the fair election results. And somehow, that's okay for going to war over for Maduro, but not for the guy in Brazil. How do you add that up? How do you equate those things? Okay, this guy is doing drug stuff, and that's why we have to invade him. But then you pardon Juan Orlando Hernandez. You want to look for the consistency. And every single reason he gives, there's an opposite thing, unless you look at one thing, and it starts with the letter M. When you start looking at the money, he's always looking at what profits him. Whatever makes him money. And the fact that he owns 41% of Trump Media is now has the controlling interest in the company that tried to buy Citgo, which is like the oil company in Venezuela, which sits on 30% of the oil reserves in the world. Like, maybe it's about the oil. Maybe it's about billions of dollars that he personally can make off of sending the U.S. military in. If this were Barack Obama or Joe Biden that did something like that, you would definitely be saying something. You got upset that that Joe Biden covered his son's truck payments and got reimbursed for them. Like, you had Republicans wanting to impeach Joe Biden because he had the audacity to get reimbursed for covering his son's truck payments. They literally played video of of Joe Biden telling his son he loved him, or played audio a voice memo of Joe Biden telling his son he loved him, as though that proved some kind of giant conspiracy. But Donald Trump sends in the U.S. military to secure the oil reserves of Venezuela so that he can make bank off of it, and there's no corruption at all there. What is wrong with your heads? I appreciate dementia, At least being able, like Lord Dementi, Trump supporter that's like got the courage to say, yeah, I've got issues with that. Didn't, I don't know if he's still going to be a Trump, but at least he can admit that this is a bad thing, that this is something we should look into. I think that like people that say things like this really do not know their history. You want to know something about Teddy Roosevelt? And you start looking, there's a lot of our presidents did a lot of things wrong. But we had a war with the Philippines. Did you know we had a war with the Philippines? Anyway, we had a war with the Philippines, and they did this thing called water torture to the Filipinos. We would hold them down, and we would put a hose down their throat. And we'd turn on the water, and we'd like inflate their stomach like a water balloon, and then stomp on their stomach until they talked. Yeah, Teddy Roosevelt did that. Teddy Roosevelt, there were some bad things about Teddy Roosevelt. And you want to talk about Franklin Roosevelt? Franklin Roosevelt did some racist stuff too. Like people talk about like how great this president was or how great that president was. A lot of them were not, like did a lot of really awful things. Okay, MAGA. How do you feel about Norway arresting Trump and bombing New York City? Or Washington, D.C.? Why not the capital city? Like, you can't just go around deciding that other countries' leaders aren't good enough and then bombing the capital city, killing civilians, and then arresting them because there's an indictment. Marco Rubio said this isn't an act of war. It's just serving an indictment. Like bullcrap. It's an act of war. Like bombing capital cities is an act of war. Kidnapping foreign leaders is an act of war. Democrats are hateful, ignorant, violent, delusional, perversional. I don't know, is that a word? Freaks, you can tell by your rhetoric. You can tell by the way you think. You can tell, but you don't actually have any substance. Can you tell me what I said that's wrong? It just happened. I agreed with the people of Venezuela should vote instead and still proper democracy. Why not put the person that they did vote for? Like, why do we have to have a different election? Why not have Gonzalez be president? The person that, we say won, the person that most of the world says won the election. Why not put them in charge? It was only last year. Yeah, sure. Dismantling the cartoon. Well, that's all very. Dismantling the cartels will allow Chinese manufacturing to shift to Mexico, which will increase the quality of life in the region while decoupling from China. If you're against that, you're fake. Okay, that is a whole lot of garble. I mean, there's just too much, like, just completely unsubstantiated opinion, and to come up with like that conclusion, and that like either you agree with this completely insane thing I just said or you're fake. What Maduro did to keep power so long sounds strangely familiar, doesn't it? Yeah, and I would say, I keep drawing the parallel to Putin. Like, there's not much difference between Putin's holding on to power and Maduro's holding on to power. Or what's his name? Hungry guy, the Orban. Yeah, that was generally their. It's like you never. You'd ask people, what is Trump going to do to bring down prices? You're so worried about prices. You're voting for him because of prices. What has he actually said he's going to do to bring down prices? And then they'd say tariffs. Okay, give it time. Well, it'll be a huge win for Trump. We want. I don't know why. I don't know why you think that it'll be a huge win for America and Venezuela. It's like not like they don't already have it. It's not like it's already. I mean, like, what is it going to change? The only thing that's going to change about oil is Donald Trump is now going to own a huge chunk of it, and he's going to make billions off of it. Uh, yeah, okay. Uh, we want universal health care, living wages, body autonomy, reasonable housing prices for everyone. Yeah, it's just really radical stuff there. Yeah, I don't think that's Donald Trump's plan. I think his plan, even about Iraq, he said a mistake was we didn't steal their oil. And he's talking about they took our oil and we need to take it back and stuff. MSNBC just announced us installing Venezuela prize winner with the Venezuela president. Well, they didn't announce that in the press conference. So there, I'm seeing it's Stephen Miller. I'm just looking up at the screen right now. Stephen Miller, key to planning execution. So I don't know if he's going to kick all the Venezuelans out of Venezuela. I just want the people of Venezuela to finally prosper and lift Venezuela. I think that would be great. So, is this true? Trump specifically said at his press conference that it would be very tough for Machado to become president, stating she doesn't have the support or respect within the country. And so, unless, I don't know where you're getting your information. I don't see anything anywhere that confirms that Machado is going to be the president. You won't complain. I have a leaf. I don't need gas. Well, it's more than that. All right. So the oil isn't a huge win, but it's something. It's not a win at all. It's not our oil. It's not like we get to just keep their oil because we conquered them or something. I don't understand what that means. You just said it won't make her, but they didn't. I did. They're not. Trump literally said on the press conference that was not going to happen. I don't know where you're getting your information. Machado is not. No one from the Trump administration has said that Machado is going to be the president. I don't know where you're getting your idea that that this just happened. It's not announced on Twitter. Nobody's announcing it on Twitter. I just looked over there. I asked Claude. Claude doesn't know anything about it. MSNBC isn't saying, well, MS Now isn't saying anything about it. I don't know where you're getting your information from. But yeah, I did not lie and say that it didn't happen, because that would imply that it happened. But I don't see anything. Yeah, everything I'm seeing on Twitter is saying that Machado is not. And in the press conference right before, I was specifically watching for that. So I don't know where you're getting your information. Machado is not the president. And Gonzalez would be the person that won the election. I don't doing regime change in South America, but this is actually in the United States' interest for once, whether or not it works out. We've been doing regime change, and I think this is now, I want to say, 46th time we've changed a regime in South America. Maybe we should stop doing that. Did we legit take? We took Maduro, yes. We kidnapped him. Trump learned everything in the 70s and 80s from Roy Cohn. He did. Okay, but that doesn't mean that Machado won. And thank you for watching. Brokeback Viking, what are you talking? I don't know. I don't like people who make accusations simply because they have disdain for. I'm not making accusations simply because I have disdain for the person. I have disdain for the person because he does a lot of disdainful things. Those are the things that I accuse him of. But it's not, you got the cart and the horse backwards, my friend. I'm not accusing him of doing something. I'm pointing out a fact. Trump media now will have access to the Argentine oil reserves. They tried to get that. They tried to buy it just a couple of weeks ago. I'm not like, this is not like some, like stretch or something. Look at the dashboard I shared with you. I went through this already. I don't want to go through it again. Oh, hey, I got. So, I think Resistance Kitty is the smartest person here too. She is a very smart person. MAGA doesn't post facts; they just support the grifter in chief and gear our reactions. It's best to ignore them. Okay. I'm impressed the MAGA in the chat used an apostrophe. Hey, that's good. I think. Oh, he didn't. Well, he used. Oh, wait. That was. I don't know which one it was. Dude, Trump just kidnapped the leader of Venezuela. Yes. He kidnapped the leader of Venezuela. Yeah, your book has nothing to do with Venezuela. I can't believe we as a country are so brazenly participating in an obviously pointless war, as well as straight up war crimes like WTF is this timeline? Let me out, please. Sometimes I say it's like I'm pretty sure the bad guys won the time war, and this whole Trump period of time proves it. Um, all I can say is because we illegally invaded another country, and I don't think that your assessment of Venezuela being happy changes that. I think it's higher than 10, Brett. If Biden had done it, would be no. Okay, Biden didn't make money off of Burisma. It's all like this response is tribalism. It's trying to make something about made up stuff about Biden that is not even relevant. Stay on Venezuela, dude. If you want to talk about not being tribalist, stay on topic. Make it, is Trump wrong to invade foreign countries and kidnap foreign leaders so that he can have billions of dollars in oil? Is that wrong or not? What did the regular people of Venezuela do? I don't know. I mean, like, he was obviously not popular. I think there were his approval ratings were like around 25%, but the idea of, they also had polling about, would you like to have the United States come in and rescue us or whatever, and that was like even lower. So not being fans of Maduro does not mean that they're fans of being run by the United States. It's another one of these false dichotomies that MAGAs love. I like that LOL, dictator management. I missed that. According to 19th. Yes, but if he's supposed to do it first if he can, which he could, and he didn't. Okay. Kelly is a communist and hates America. No, they don't. And if he does, it's irrelevant. And this is not relevant. You don't get to decide this guy is guilty and then kidnap him and conquer another country. That doesn't justify it. Like, even if what you said is true, and it probably isn't, because nothing you say is true, it doesn't change anything. The logic doesn't follow. It's irrelevant. I'm not a commie. Oh, he'll be in New York City soon, because we've got I bet you think that Maduro is a communist and supports Sharia law. You mad at Trump is winning? No, I'm mad that Trump is committing war crimes. Googling. He's trying to learn how to spell Google. Maybe he should do a Google search on how to spell Google. Congress does not agree with you. Do something about it, commie. Arf, arf, arf. I bet you are. You're like that little dog. You're like a little poodle. I bet you bite ankles and think you're tough. Who is a communist? Do you know what Trump is taking a percentage of? Yes. Uh, if your greatest contribution to our country is following someone with numerous rape allegations, multiple bankruptcies, ties to Epstein, and a bad rep for uncivilized business, you are missing. It's against every law to bomb a country and kidnap a president. Are these people dumb? I agree with Fat Boy for once. If you want to do these types of things, Congress should vote on them. But we don't have a real country, so F it. I'm not fat, just so you know. I'm like 175.7. So I'm not skinny, but all right. Please don't use words ending in tard. Please just don't use disabilities as pejoratives. I don't understand why that's hard. Like, there's all kinds of ways you can call me stupid, and I'll be okay with it. Yeah, I'm kind of short. 5'7". Sorry, I didn't mean to be a communist. I'm not trying because Trump is winning. I would be celebrating if Trump was actually winning, but Trump isn't winning. You're not smart either. What is the what is the difference between an apostrophe and not an apostrophe, Patsy? What did you say it was? It's the difference between knowing your poop and not knowing your poop. Like, I think you need to learn your poop, Matt. Okay, Trump has secured his positions with Xi and Putin. Xi and Putin. The world is for sale, and the superpowers are insatiable. Dude, nobody is saying Maduro's a good guy. That is not an argument. America at first, right? Do you want to invade China? Like, it's just, that's why, like, as soon as I saw what happened, I was like, the first thing, they're gonna make this all about Maduro. Like, as long as Maduro is bad, they're gonna make it like, if you say, okay, invading other countries and removing and kidnapping their leaders and installing yourself as the government so that you can control the oil and make billions of dollars is okay because Maduro is bad. Like, two wrongs don't make a right. Like, this is not like a new logical invention I just made. I'm still not quite sure how I became a communist or when I became a communist, but apparently I'm a communist. So when does China? Yeah, so this is the thing is, once you start arguing that you can just decide to remove other leaders because they're not legitimate, where does that end? So what if China? Now do we have the moral ground to say that China can't invade Taiwan now? That's a great question. I mean, like, that is a really good question. Well, you skipped my comments about, because they're wrong, and I don't feel like debating you on something that's wrong. Um, it's not legal. The War Powers Act does not authorize it. It is it possible to be gay and your butthole being totally gay? What a weird thing to say. I don't know what that has to do with Venezuela. All right, so let's just, for the sake of the one guy, all right, just going to ask AI, I asked Claude, does the War Powers Act authorize Trump? And so we're just going to bring this up since you insist on having this conversation. No, the War Powers Act doesn't authorize military action. It's actually designated to limit presidential war-making powers, not grant them. Here's how it acts. When the War Power Acts, what the Power Act does, requires the president to notify Congress within 48 hours of committing armed forces to military action, limits unauthorized military action to 60 days with a 60-day withdrawal period, allows Congress to force withdraw if troops connected through a war resolution was passed in 1973 over Nixon's veto over Vietnam. The constitutional debate around Vietnam's the legal justification would need to come from one of these sources. Article 2 powers president claims inherent authority as commander-in-chief to protect American interests. Personnel. Republican Senator Mike Lee initially questioned this, but later said it likely falls under the president's inherent immunity under Article 2, inherent authority under Article 2, but there doesn't appear to be any specific authorization for invading Venezuela. The 2001 authorization for use of military force sometimes stretched to cover counterterrorism aspirations, but it's questionable whether it applies here on like just many, many different grounds. Self-defense, there is no self-defense. So no, the Powers Act has been widely ignored by presidents of both parties since 1973. Presidents often conduct military operations and then inform Congress, treating the WA as advisory rather than binding. Congress rarely enforces it. So so your argument is, but he told them within 8 hours, right? That's your. So I'll just type in that. Just so I can see you. Okay, so right, notifying Congress within 40 hours is following the procedural requirement of the War Powers Act, but that doesn't mean the action itself was authorized or legal. These are two separate issues. Think of it this way. The War Powers Act says if you commit troops, then you must notify Congress within 48 hours. It doesn't say you can commit troops as long as you notify Congress. The two separate questions are, did he have the authority to strike in the first place? This requires constitutional authority, congressional authorization, or self-defense imminent threat. So he followed the War Powers Act in terms of notifying Congress within 48 hours, but he didn't have the authorization to commit forces. The War Powers Act doesn't give him the power to do anything. The War Powers Act requires he do it. It requires he notify. So I don't know if that helps you, but that's enough on that. Okay, you had way more. I don't want to spend, like hours and hours having a bad faith argument. He doesn't have the inherent authority. The War Powers Act is something that you apparently completely misunderstand. So I don't want to have, like this usurp the whole conversation. How many has Maduro killed? It doesn't matter. He wasn't their leader. That doesn't matter. He was recognized by the UN as an international leader. It's not like, and had been even by Trump before. Why did 47 capture Maduro? How many countries were passed for the USA to capture him? Huh. I think, yeah, there's another, there are all kinds of countries. Like, where do we stop now? This was a move to block Chinese influence. No, it wasn't. And if it was, it's still illegal. Like, this was a move to actually gain financial interest for Trump. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. And it's a pretty easy straight line between the Trump administration, between Donald Trump and Trump media and Venezuela oil. My money is on you having socialism view to induce economic government from government subsidies and whatever that means, but it doesn't change laws. The president is doing everything, and he's doing a lot of things outside of his power. The problem is not that he's doing everything within his power. The power is that he's exceeding his authority. Or the problem is he's exceeding his authority. Okay, I'm a communist cuck. Never Trumper. I'm out. Okay, bye. Oh, wait, they can't read. China will never do it, not with. Like, what does even this mean? They will never. So, China will never do it, not with Trump in the White House. Because what? Trump would do something to stop them? So, are you saying that Trump would go to war with China? Because I was told that Biden was going to go to war with China, and that's why we couldn't trust him. Matthew has been living under a rock for the last year. We voted for mass deportations and American politicians in jail, not third world despots, but your argument was literally a schizo version of "you are gay." Oh boy, another one. It's not war. It is war. I mean, it's literally an act of war. Bombing a capital city and kidnapping their president is an act of war. I actually live on top of rocks. So I tell you, you literally just read. No, I did not. I read, if you were paying attention, the president must notify Congress within 60 days. That does not authorize him to do it. That requires him to notify if he does do it. It doesn't change the underlying requirements. The underlying requirements haven't changed. And there is nothing that required him to act. You're not understanding what the War Powers Act is. The War Powers Act doesn't say you can go out and just start any war you want as long as you tell Congress within 60 days. It says if you commit military forces, you have to notify Congress within 60 days. It's not an authorization, it's a requirement. We voted for mass deportations and American politicians. All right, that I don't know how many times you're going to post that comment, but we get it. Pretty much they may be your feelings, but they are not fact. And that's the other thing is, I mean, the first act was not what happened yesterday. The first act was the first bombing of the first boat, which was well over 90 days ago. We voted for mass deportations and American politicians in jail, not the third world despots. Okay, please just stop posting that. Due process and legality are found in an AI question request. Oh no. Oh no. When you are citing articles of US code without. I don't know what all of that means. Yeah, and that what I'm saying is that argument is wrong. The executive cannot authorize military action for a 60-day limit without congressional authorization. That's not at all what it says. That you're misunderstanding what the War Powers Act is. That it is not giving Trump and the president permission to have military action for up to 60 days. That's not what it is. Okay. I asked ChatGPT, even it said it wasn't legal or even authorized. Take that, MAGA. It's not, though. It's not legal. You defend. No, I'm not defending drug cartels. And no, there's not 100. There was 100,000 drug overdoses 1 year in 2023. It was down to 74,000 last year. And it has absolutely nothing to do with invading Venezuela. If you're so concerned about drug cartels, then why are you okay with him pardoning Juan Orlando Hernandez or the CEO of Binance that laundered money for all the cartels? Like, don't speciously pick out one thing and pretend like this is about drug overdoses. It has nothing. The fentanyl, it doesn't even come out of Honduras. You're like the 11,000th person to make this comment, and it's still just as dumb as the first person that made it. I don't know why somebody's bringing up Obama. It's not about socialism. This is about socialism. They were using all the money to fund schools and healthcare. They want to allow the president, that precedent to stand, or Americans just might demand the same. This is about Donald Trump getting rich. These Dems become constitutionality when it fits them. Otherwise, it's FUBAR. I don't even know what that means. I'm always for the Constitution. I've never said let's go against the Constitution. But the certain members of the right seem to only know about like one clause and one amendment and ignore the rest of the Constitution. Donald Trump has refused to follow 35% of court orders. So maybe don't get into my business about the constitutionality of things. And if you're going to sit there and say that Dems become constitutionality when it fits them, otherwise it's FUBAR, you're doing exactly that. The moment the Constitution doesn't agree with Trump, it's FUBAR. Like now you're like, oh, the Constitution doesn't matter. And you're like sitting there and you're making up some scenario where that's what I'm doing because that's what you're doing. I don't know if he lost the election by 70%, but he lost the election. But that's kind of beside the point. You don't get to, like, why him? Why is it okay for him? Like, we go and we kidnap him, right? But then when Brazil tries to prosecute the guy that tried to steal their election, Donald Trump slaps a 50% tariff on Brazil. Unless we let him walk. Or unless Brazil lets him walk. Why is it okay in some countries? And also, by the way, when you're talking about stealing elections, maybe Donald Trump, 3 fingers pointing back at you, pal. He's the one that tried to steal an election. Trump knows his time is up. I don't know if Trump knows his time is up. I don't even know what Trump knows anymore. That press conference today, he was like a slurring, meandering trail of nonsense. Like I don't know if you watched it, but he did not seem all that coherent. He seemed kind of like really incoherent. Yeah, that doesn't matter if he was under a standing U.S. Federal environment. You don't just get to say, well, he's indicted, therefore we can go ahead and commit this act of war and just say we're serving a warrant. You guys got all upset when the FBI tried to serve a warrant on David Koresh. The indictment is irrelevant. It's still an act of war. We still bombed their capital city. We committed an act of war. We overthrew a country, and now we're installing ourselves as various people that are going to run that country. So get out of here with your indictment mumbo jumbo. It's still illegal. If you have to break the law to enforce the law, you're not really doing it right. How would you folks feel about what if we went and we arrested what if we arrested by Bibi? He's under indictment. Are you okay if with that? Great question, Kitty. Right now there is no president. I think the vice president has been sworn in, but according to Trump, various people are going to be running the country. And he said some of them are behind me at the press conference. Right now, we are ruling Venezuela. It's a conquered country. Trump is cleaning up. The Democrats, like, get away with not everything is the Democrats made it and Trump is cleaning it up. Like, let's just stop with try to have an honest conversation. All right. Thank you for joining the war, the good guys on the war on apostrophes. He literally hired a dog killer, so yes. All right. So, well, it's going to go an hour. And I've been over an hour. The Constitution is a shredded document. Long ago hijacked by the fort. Yeah, I'm just. I mean, how you can shred the Constitution by amending it is like, I have no idea where you're. I bet you think that the income tax is unconstitutional too. Remember, socialism isn't welfare programs. I don't know what a democrat is. I don't know if that's a typo or if that's just another weird thing that you want to call Democrats. Congress has given up their power to authorize war and given it to Trump. They've given up their power to do pretty much anything. And I want to do this. I'm going to do a show eventually. I keep saying I'm going to do it, but I want to do a show where I feel like we have gradually become a two-party system instead of a three-branch system of government. Like, it's no longer about the congressional power, the judicial branch, or the congressional branch, the legislative branch, the judicial branch, and the executive branch, all with a balance of powers and everything. We just have a balance of parties. It's all about, one thing or the other. And I feel like the Constitution, the real threat to the Constitution is that, not the 14th Amendment. The Congress has just completely deferred its authority to the president. The president is now just usurping the judicial branch by just saying things like they don't have to agree. Like, if they get to decide if the judicial branch is wrong, and they will follow the judicial branch as long as the judicial branch is right. And 35% of court orders they're ignoring. And there was a Democrat president that appointed them. Well, you don't get to ignore judges that were appointed by other presidents. That's kind of the whole point of the lifetime appointment. And even Trump's own appointments are ruling against him, and he's ignoring it. So many triggered Trumpers. Legality means nothing to them. Really, give me any example of outside of this where Dems are always the enemy. Yeah, the kind of, like, some of the rhetoric is just like, I don't know if it's weird or insane or insanely weird or weirdly insane. Gonna check something here. Okay. We got some time. Who's watching football today? Anybody else? I passed my NC. Okay. Good for you. God bless President Trump. There are powers that Congress relinquish to the executive branch. Live it or not, like it or not, I suppose. But you can't change it. Well, but they haven't actually relinquished some of these powers. And I think that some of those powers shouldn't have been relinquished. That's part of my problem, is that we're supposed to have a balance of powers. Now that's not happening. Like, when the president starts deciding that it's not going to follow the judicial branch anymore and not follow court rulings, that's when the Congress needs to step up and say, we have checks and balances. And if you're not being checked and balanced, then our check and balance of you is to impeach. And it's not about Democrat versus Republican. It's about Congress, the legislative branch, checking the executive branch. I would say the same thing if Joe Biden had just completely ignored judicial courts. When the Supreme Court said you can't forgive student loans, you can't use this to forgive student loans, he didn't just insist on forgiving them anyway. He tried to find another way to do it, but he paid attention to the ruling. Then when that one didn't work out, the whole thing went away. The fact is, this president has to follow the courts. And when he doesn't, the legislative branch has to check the president. 35% of court rulings he's just ignoring. And that's just the beginning of it. He's doesn't have the right to just declare war by himself. That is like an expressed constitutional power, that Congress is the one that declares war. This notion that the War Powers Act has been like this flip on its head. The whole reason the War Powers Act existed is because we were in this eternal police state with Vietnam. And so the War Powers Act was saying, if you commit forces, you have to notify Congress within 60 days and get congressional approval for it, because it was like a police state. But this is an actual act of war. This thing with Venezuela. Stop listening to Fox TV to get your talking points. Okay, somebody. Partisan tribalism makes people believe that anyone who isn't on their team is on the other team, even if they are apolitical. I agree. And it also makes you feel like everything that your side is for, you have to be for, and everything that the other side is against, you have to be for. So you get these things where, an example is, okay, I'm against overthrowing other countries on the pretext that they're a drug cartel, right? So then you're for drug cartels. Like that is not necessarily. Some of us can be against drug cartels. You're against drug cartels. I'm against drug cartels. We're both against drug overdoses. Let's find a solution to drug overdoses. That should be the way that we approach policy issues, right? Is look at the situation and then try to solve it, instead of, you're a Democrat, therefore you have to abide by these principles, or you're a Republican, you have to abide by those principles. I think this whole way of having discourse nowadays interrupts discourse. It prevents solutions. We could be doing so much better and so much more if we would just talk about the issues instead of just talking about the other party, or talking about our own party. But mostly it's just talking about the other party. Northern Hemisphere. The Northern Hemisphere is ours. Did you mean to say the Western Hemisphere? Because I'm pretty sure there's a whole bunch of the world that would disagree that the Northern Hemisphere belongs to us. It was not. It was an act of war. Call it a police action all you want, but it was still an act of war. Bombing other countries and kidnapping their presidents is an act of war. Like somebody, if we were to serve an indictment against the indictment against Bibi and bomb Israel, bomb Tel Aviv, and kidnap Bibi, would that be an act of war because we're serving an indictment? Trump is winning and you're crying. We vote. Is this like a chatbot thing or something? Like, this is like, what's the point of even typing something like that? We've voted for mass deportation. Okay, that's like the 11,000th time you've said that. I was raised in a social democracy and it was much better experience than what it is here in the US. I would love to move back there, but America does not allow you to afford that anymore. I think most people, most Trump supporters that I've talked to have never really spent any time outside of America. And they have seriously distorted views of what life is like in England or Northern Europe or France or even Italy. And, like they think that everywhere else is like a third world country or something. And, like all socialized medicine, like you can't get good health care anywhere but the United States. We voted. Okay. So the moral of everything, he just read is yes. No, it's not. It's the opposite of that. It is the exact opposite. Okay, so we know what UK is like. Yeah, I'm sure you do. Like, have you ever been there? Canada does have great health care. You notice one thing is none of these countries that have, like universal health care are going, gee, we should really shift to a system that rations health care based on income and your job. Like, yeah, that, like, you don't see in people in Canada, you don't see overwhelming support for kicking 20% of the population off of healthcare to make it cheaper and shorten waiting lists, do you? Like, why is it that nobody wants our system if it's so terrible? Liberals say communism is great, but never. What a weird thing to say. I mean, like, liberals and communists aren't even the same thing, dude. How many places have you been? I've been to 36 countries. I'm not talking out of my butt. United States has 20 million. Venezuela. All right, let's fact check that. How many Venezuelan refugees are in America? That seems a bit high because I think we have like 40 million foreign-born people in the country. So like if half of them were Venezuelan, I think, what is the population? It's like, I don't know where, like some of is that a number that Trump said? It just seems like a completely made up number. Maybe I'm wrong, but that seems like an awful lot. Based on the latest data, there are about 700,000 to 720,000 Venezuelans in the United States. 720,000 by population. 670,000 were covered by the temporary protected status. 11,700 arrived under CHNB humanitarian parole program. So, yeah, just a tad short of 20 million. Just a smidge short of 20 million. 700,000, 20 million, tomato. But yeah, it's apparently not like that would be like 1 out of every 16 people was Venezuelan. What a bigot. I don't know what what makes me a bigot, or if I'm the bigot. People died to come here. They did. When will America be set free from Trump? I mean, like, just like people, nobody, people die. When people walk across half a continent to get here, they probably love America more than you do. It would be for someone that I liked. Like, people that say they love America and can't even wear a piece of cloth over their face during a pandemic to save lives probably don't love America as much as they say. Um, they think that the dump Trump is going to invite them to his new ballroom so much less do anything other than sit. Yeah. Donald Trump does not care about you at all. I don't know how to tell you that, but like he really, Donald Trump is not like a fan of the working poor or the middle class poor. And he's not doing any favors for you and your wallet either. What? Yeah, nobody thinks our healthcare is superior, which is why nobody's trying to change to it. Like, if everybody thought our healthcare was so much better, then why aren't they trying to adapt to our healthcare? I think that some of our hospitals, we have some of the best hospitals in the world, like Mayo Clinic and Boston University, but ironically, those are also some of our most socialized. Move to Canada or Europe if they're so great. Or you could just like move to Russia since you think it's so great. Like, I mean, like, it's possible to like love America and be an American and want to make America better. Isn't that ostensibly what you're trying to say? Like, make America great again? Why is it only you are allowed to make America better? Yeah, I used Claude actually. And it's specifically because A, it's easily accessible, and B, because people want sources. So I started using it to give them sources. Doesn't change the answer, does it? Does it make it wrong? Do you like not use research to look things up? Why is researching something and finding the answer? Why is that wrong? Only cowards got the America is the most generous country in the world and the safest. And don't know if either one of those things are objectively true. Only, I mean, like, some guy says we have 20 million Venezuelans. Like, I don't know off the top of my head how many Venezuelans live in America. So I look it up, and it turns out it's only 700,000. And so your take is, oh, you're an idiot. You have to like use AI to look up how many Venezuelans live in America. Not the guy that said there were 20 million. That was just clearly completely wrong about it. Only homosexuals got the vax. I don't think that's true. Who on the left is then? Who on the left is what? I didn't say the middle class. I said the working poor and working middle class. Trump is self-serving. He is very self-serving. Okay, another move to Canada or Europe. Was Donald Trump? Well, Donald Trump doesn't care about all the 300 people individually. No, he doesn't care about anyone except for the people in his inner circle. And he certainly does not care about the 300 million people collectively. I don't care if he knows my name or not, but don't sit there and act like he cares what you're paying for grocery prices. You know, you're the ones that sit there and act like he's your daddy. Trump doesn't. Oh, Trump. Trump doesn't take a paycheck from America. Trump has made $11 billion off of his first term, off of his first year and his second. He's using the Oval Office as his own personal cash machine. He's even with this, again, he's using the U.S. military to go in and steal Argentina's oil while he's positioned with Trump media to own when she owns 41% of, to have the controlling interest in what happens to Argentina's oil. Do you think $400,000 a year matters to him when he's banking $4 billion, $11 billion? When he's sitting there, he's getting his cryptocurrency because he pardoned the guy from Biden. Come on, dude. Don't be so naive. The heart of any grift is to put in a little bit of your own money. No countries have free healthcare. Every country pays for their healthcare with taxes, except for ours. We understand that there are taxes that people pay, and we get to choose what we do with those taxes. It's just every reasonable country on earth decides that part of the thing that they would like to do with their taxes is take care of their own health, which is also why we pay more per capita for healthcare than any country in the world. And right now, we just had our premiums double. I do care about you. I actually do. Like, I will sit there. I'm the one trying to defend Trump supportive farmers. Donald Trump doesn't care about you. I don't know how much you've watched my show or whatever, but I've said many times things that people are like, oh, well, they voted for this, they can get it. Like when the bad stuff happens. No, because I think what's bad for all Americans is bad for me. And I think what's bad for, Trump supporting Americans is bad for America. I actually do care about you. I don't think that people that voted for Trump that have small farms that are suddenly their farms are going out of business because they don't have anybody to harvest their crops. I'm not the one gleeful about that. Donald Trump is, Stephen Miller is. Why are you trying to guess and laughy face? Dude, I don't know. You just pumped up. Madero is a bad person. It is not a choice between supporting him and thinking he's a good person and supporting war crimes and just going in and kidnapping foreign leaders and then taking over the country so that Donald Trump can get billions of dollars. It's like a sort of a weird dichotomy you have there. Okay. About 10.7 to 10.9 million Mexican-born people live in the United States, legal and authorized combined. And a lot of the Mexican-born, yeah. I think the total number of foreign-born people is like 40 billion. Like all foreign-born people combined. Liberals make America worse. Yeah. Like that. Do you think that's like a cogent argument? Do you think that like people go, oh, wow, how come I never thought of that? Like, why can't you have why is it so many Trump supporters can't actually have a fact-based reasonable argument? It's just got to be, like these broad sweeping smeary type things, like, or move to the Dominican Republic, they have free healthcare, free lights, and like that's nonsensical ramblings. We are focused on making America great again while Democrats. Yeah, see this. Do you have anything like substantive to say? All right. Why does everything have to be this hard? Only cowards got the. No, so this person is still going. American Democrats are crying about. Yeah, whatever, Salty. Like your made up stuff just doesn't matter. Why are Republican personalities in administration women more masculine than feminine? Why do they all look the same? Like, have you noticed? It's like they're all trying to look like Melania. It's like you can just watch their face, either Melania or Ivanka. Their faces are also like starting to morph into the same thing, unless they get in like some sort of weird Botox, plastic, microwave accident like Laura Loomer did, where they just end up looking like boiled sillet buddy. Anyway. All right. So I was going to hop on for an hour and it's been 3. So I think I'm going to have to jet. I want to eat something. I'm really hungry. Anybody want to buy me DoorDash? Probably not. I probably don't want to eat DoorDash anyway. All right. Well, that's enough rambling on for now. Thanks for everybody for hopping on, and hopefully we'll find out who various people are someday and find out who's going to be running Venezuela. But I have a feeling whoever it ends up being will make Donald Trump a lot of money. I'll see you on Monday, unless Donald Trump invades another country tomorrow. Talk to you later. Bye.